Donald Trump became the victim of an assassination attempt. He survived slightly injured after being hit on the head, but one of the spectators of his rally died. Another one was heavily wounded. There were some rumors about a second injured. I'm not sure about this. And the perpetrator itself was killed as well. In this video, we are going to answer all the questions that I've seen so far, or at least almost all of them. I mostly rely on the expertise of others here, as my knowledge only leads so far and I don't want to talk nonsense. So let's dive right into it and address everything that you might have asked so far and every question that you might have seen. I'm pretty sure you have already seen the video of Donald Trump being hit and then taking cover. I think YouTube doesn't like me showing that too much, so I'll skip it over here. But as you've seen, I'm pretty sure you've also seen this, where after him being hit, after him taking cover and then moving up, he bumps his fist and the crowd starts cheering. As you can see here, are cheering to him, and the result of this is this iconic picture that will surely dominate the current election cycle. Right now, we have to see that Trump is an expert. He has experience in Boulevard TV with The Apprentice show, and it's for a reason that the complete outsider won the Republican nomination in 2016. It's the easy way to declare someone a madman or being stupid. It's the easy solution. Trump surely is not stupid, and he's shown it here. He did the very right things a showman would do, an expert would do, to mobilize his own people and to give the impression that he wanted in this whole context. Now let's talk about the shooter. He is 20 years old. I have not found him to have any expertise in military or law enforcement. He's he was a registered Republican, as you could see down here. Let me quickly turn this off. Here you see registered Republican. When he registered for the vote, he also donated for Act Blue, a democratic organization. Now, this needs to be understood for someone living outside the US. I have a friend who is a regular Republican voter. I think she never voted for someone but a Republican candidate, but she's a registered Democrat. She explained it to me. She registered as a Democrat so she can vote in the primaries and vote for the least likely candidate to win against the Republican candidate. Now, this attempt of sabotage might be laughable, it might be pointless, but it shows that this is not like a party membership in Europe is, where somebody joins a party with a signature. The registration in the US is far less important and far less telling than a party membership would be in Europe. Thus, it must be understood that this doesn't say exactly everything. Now, they're spreading screenshots about an Instagram account from the shooter that is supposedly his, showing the cross sign and talking about Epstein, the criminal that supposedly killed himself. You know, there's a separate conspiracy theory about this. So this would indicate that he might be from the right wing, maybe a right winger who was who thought Trump was an extremist enough, or someone who thought he was too much of an extremist, or he might be a left winger. I don't really know as of now, and might find out at a later point if we have to choose between Republican registration, which doesn't cost anything, and him donating to a left-wing organization. The donation should matter more, but then again, in the end, it doesn't matter too much which affiliation he has. As of now, we don't really know the motivation yet. We have a picture of him lying on the roof here after being taken out. Now, the rifle he had was a so-called AR style, so either an AR-15 or an AR-10. The question there would be the caliber. AR-15 in the caliber of 5.56. AR-10 would be 7.62. According to reports, it was an AR-15, so likely in 5.56, that he used here a semi-automatic rifle that was that he used to attempt the assassination. Apparently, he tried to achieve a headshot on the Republican candidate, on Donald Trump, at a distance of roughly 140 meters. At this distance, the natural spread without the shooter is roughly 5 centimeters. So you can guess this is more or less this distance here. On the head means if you move 5 centimeters to the right, you might already miss. this is not exactly what an expert would do at a distance of 150 meters roughly. I think most sharpshooters would hit the torso, would aim for the torso, not the head. Now, why he shot at the head, we don't know. Maybe he wanted to make sure that Donald Trump is dead, not knowing that headshots can actually be often survived, because the vital parts that make the people survive, that kill the person that is being shot, are only a small part of the head. For instance, if he shoots through the jaws, Donald Trump could well be alive. He might have lost 10 teeth. He might be disfigured from now on, but he would still be alive. So an expert would shoot at the torso, but we won't have a chance to ask him what his motivation was, whether he thought to make sure, whether he was afraid of Trump wearing bullet protective vests. There are, for instance, companies that create shirts, suits, everything looking like normal clothing, but supposedly able to stop bullets. Maybe he thought Trump would wear something like this, but on the head he would be vulnerable. As said, we don't know what the motivation of this was. Generally, though, we can say that it shows that he was an amateur. This was not an expert in this regard, but shooting at this distance and hitting a head-sized target with a properly sighted rifle is not a problem for anyone even decently trained at this distance with a stable position. It is quite possible, even with iron sights. In the army, I shot at 300 meters with a G3 on torso-sized targets, though, and that was needed to qualify for it. So at twice the distance, it was still possible to just shoot with iron sights. With a scope, he would easily be able to hit that, but so far we have not seen details about the gun itself. This here could be an optic, but we have to see. It could be a red dot, but we'll have to see in the end how it turns out. Now let's look at the event of the assassination attempt. This is the area here, and Shizu Intel has made a graphics of it. Here is where Trump was talking. Now, there was an eyewitness saying that he saw the shooter climb up the roof. They tried to alert the police and the Secret Service, but were ignored, and then were pointing at this. He was probably at this position here. Here was a counter sniper team of the Secret Service. Here was a second one, and here was the shooter. The shooter, the event happened in this area in Butler, Pennsylvania. Here again, here was roughly where Trump was. Here was a Secret Service sniper team. Here was one, here was the observer, and here was the shooter. And there is a video of him right before he opens fire, which shows him being on top. You see he's still alive, and what you can see is an inclination going up. I'm not sure about the English word. In Germany, we call it translated a saddle roof, meaning it goes up on one side, then goes to the top and goes down on the other side. This obviously allows the shooter on the backward slope, let's call it this way, to crawl up and having a decent chance of not being spotted right away, as the top of the roof might shield him from view from the counter snipers of the Secret Service. Here we see him lying, and there was a ladder being spotted at the site where he likely climbed up. We see him lying here and his rifle, and he probably climbed up here and moved up here. I have this on Google Street View. We see this is from where he shot. There were the counter snipers. There was the position of the stage of Donald Trump, and we can actually see that he did it fairly smartly. The ladder is hidden from the sides, and in the front he even has trees, so he might probably have brought in the gun and unpacked it behind the tree in cover. We'll find out more here, but he likely climbed up here and moved up here, and you see the slope. This might shield him for some time from the views from this side, and somebody down here might not see him because he's also shielded from the view if he's lying really flat on the ground. The bullets hit spectators. One of them was killed. The name of the one killed is reported to be Corey Comparatore, or Comparatori, or however you pronounce it there. He was 50 years old and is reported to have shielded his family with his body before he was hit and died from this. An innocent person, obviously, that was killed in this event. The bullets also hit a hydraulic line after passing Trump, or probably hitting him. We don't know which bullet hit it, and you can see here the spray of the hydraulics fluid spraying out, and this was probably a loudspeaker that was lifted up like this. Looks pretty heavy, but it was luck that it hit the top of the tractor. It looks like it, and thus nobody on the ground was injured in this event here as well. Now we have the things we see, how it happened, we know more or less, but there are still a few things open, a few things that might require some response to it. Now here we have a former law enforcement officer who explained a lot of the questions that were open, because one of the first things I thought about when I saw it was how this happened, that this roof was not covered. What he says is basically this. He says he was in such events, I think, 5 times. The close protection, so the hands-on protection, let's call it this way, would be done by Secret Service, the direct here, and the Secret Service provides long-range snipers, because, for instance, this has more or less a direct view on the stage. This is roughly 600 meters, a distance perfectly capable of engaging with a powerful rifle. 338 Lapua, even 308 might be perfectly fine with this. So this is something that a decent shot or a good shot could act upon, and to engage those, the counter snipers are here. The medium distance, so everything outside the direct protection and everything outside the long range protection, would be local law enforcement. So the roof here would probably be the local law enforcement, and he comes to the conclusion that they failed. This is one important question answered in this regard, that it was the local law enforcement that might have failed here. And then we have, for instance, this conspiracy theory that 7:21, before the shots, the 2 snipers were observing, everything was fine. And then right before the shots, they were ready to shoot, but they did not shoot until the assassin fired and Trump went down. So basically, as soon as they thought that Trump is hit, only then did they take him out. This is being used as a conspiracy theory. We have a very simple explanation for this. If we look at this, now the eyewitness said, we were pointing at it. We were trying to draw attention. Now, if you are a counter sniper here and you observe and you suddenly see a crowd of a couple of people pointing in a certain direction, then they draw your attention. And if they keep insisting that, and you see that something is going on, you switch over to a more engaged mode, to get into a ready mode, to probably engage a potential target. So they drew the attention, but this nice visualization shows that there was likely a tree in front of this team here, so they couldn't see it. They got ready to shoot but couldn't engage, and that team that probably had the other side to observe then turned around and was able to take out the shooter, even though only after he fired his initial shots. This is the picture of the 2 counter snipers on the left roof. We see them ready to engage here. Those are bolt action rifles, probably in Lapua as well, but there's only one video that leaves some questions to me, and I please allow myself to ask those. We see them engaging here. This was initially spread around that this was them taking out the shooter, but it's actually not. We see them here having playing. Let me play it with sound, and you hear the shots that we hear are not those 2. This is the assassin, the would-be assassin that shoots at Donald Trump.
That shot's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Now you hear the shots. But what is interesting is that he looks through his scope, and here you see his head jump up. So here he wants to have overview. The scope has likely a extremely high magnification to shoot at long ranges, and this is barely useless at short ranges. So he looks up to gain the attention. Then he moves his head down to probably look the scope again. Then the shots start, but then he moves the whole tripod back. This might be doctrinal. There might be a logical reason behind this. I'm not an expert on this, and let me be perfectly transparent with this. I still don't really understand this. There might be a very good explanation by an actual sniper. And then again, a military sniper is something different than a police sniper. Police sniper, for instance, often shoot at the head because they shoot at far shorter distances, whereas military, from my knowledge, shoot at the torso. It might be a different thing to have a sniper that is in protection of VIPs. He might have different rules again. But this looks like he moves back and the barrel is pointing towards the ground. Maybe he moves back to have a better overview. I'm not sure, but the other guy is even more weird. We see him being ready here, and as soon as the shots start, he moves his head down and the rifle starts pointing up. It's like he takes cover. This is somewhat surprising to me. I would expect him not to take cover and look for the shooter, but as said, maybe there's a logic explanation that I simply don't understand. If you know better, please write it in the comment section. But as said, like with this here, we know that they probably couldn't even see him. So them looking around, knowing that the shots come from this direction without being able to perfectly identify it, makes kind of sense. And the would-be assassin was likely taken out from this side. These are hopefully most questions answered that we had in this regard, except maybe for this one of this behavior. But as said, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to declare that they did something wrong. If I don't know better, then it's not my place to do this. This was just a question that I initially had. But we have to say Trump was insanely lucky in this. Him not moving his head, the guy not shaking a little less because of a little less adrenaline, a little less excitement, and Trump would probably be dead. Still, though, one innocent civilian died in this attack, and we know that Trump will obviously be using these pictures and these videos in his election campaign, and that will give him a boost to a certain degree as an expert that he is. And we have to say, after the performance of Biden in the presidential debate, the difference between the two has become even bigger after this assassination attempt between the two. One, unfortunately, I'm sorry for everyone who intends to vote for Biden or who likes him, but one who looks really frail and one that looks indestructible. That is more or less how he presented himself in this regard. We'll have to see. This might decide the election, but the election is over when it's over, once the ballots have closed. So far we still have months ahead. This might help Trump. This might help rally his troops, but in the end, that doesn't mean it will decide the overall thing. The good thing is we have unifying words from both sides of the aisles. Obviously, we have horrible things from both sides as well. People regretting that the shooter missed, people offering shooting classes for the next time. We have people from the right saying that the Democrats wanted to assassinate their candidate because obviously the Secret Service is a federal organization and the federal government is controlled by the Democrats. So this must be that then it means that Trump was to be assassinated. Those nut jobs are on both sides, but the majority of the voices is unifying and saying this is not how a democracy, how a republic should handle the election campaign. And I think at least this part in the whole thing is a good thing. And hopefully the United States, the most important nation for the free world, will learn from this. But that was it from me for now. I hope I did a decent job. At least in the German field, I saw some horrible videos, which initially made me do a video in German on this. But I hope I did a better job. If I did so, I would appreciate a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think about what I had to say? And do you have anything to add? And if you're new here, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. This channel is only possible because of the support of viewers like you. If you like to support the channel, you can do so by the means in the description. But that's it from me for now. Thank you for watching and I'll be back.